He was born weak, sickly. His body betrayed him before the world even had the chance. Migraine after migraine, vomiting fits that left him crawling in the dark, his eyes so ruined by pain he could barely read. Yet from this battlefield of illness, from this prison of a body, rose one of the most dangerous minds in history, Friedrich Nietzsche. Understand this. His philosophy wasn't born in some polished lecture hall. It was hammered out in solitude, between spasms of agony, written in blood and fever. Every page he produced was a rebellion against weakness, his own and yours. He knew what most men refuse to admit. Life will break you. It will humiliate you, strip you bare, and mock you while you crawl. And in that moment, most will reach for escape, for comfort, for distraction, for the cheap illusion of safety. But Nietzsche spat on comfort. He turned suffering into a forge. He weaponized pain. And here's the brutal truth. If you can't learn to do the same, you will be destroyed. This is not theory. This is not philosophy for the faint-hearted. This is war, and your weakness is the enemy. Pain, the word alone makes men flinch. We are trained from childhood to avoid it, to medicate it, numb it, bury it. But Nietzsche knew the truth. Pain is the only real currency of growth. Every wound, every scar, every humiliation you endure is a deposit in your inner bank of strength. Think of it. Without struggle, there is no muscle. Without heartbreak, there is no depth. Without humiliation, there is no hunger for greatness. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the architect. Nietzsche called this the transvaluation of values, the ability to flip weakness into strength, ugliness into beauty, suffering into fuel. When the knife cuts you, most beg for it to stop. Nietzsche whispered, push it deeper. Because only in the pressure, only in the tearing, does something new emerge. The alchemy of suffering. Nietzsche's life was one long crucifixion. His body decayed while his mind sharpened into a weapon that terrified the world. What others saw as a curse, he treated as raw material. Pain was his stone quarry, and from it he carved monuments. Ask yourself, how many times have you run from your pain? How many times did you reach for distraction, for comfort, instead of facing it? That is why you remain small. You hide from the very thing that would shape you into something unrecognizable. The gym rat knows this truth. Muscles grow by being torn apart. But Nietzsche applied this to the soul. Your heartbreak, your betrayal, your failures are the heavy plates on the rack of existence. If you do not lift them, if you do not embrace the tearing, you will remain soft. And soft men are trampled. The knife test Nietzsche offers a challenge, and it is brutal. When life cuts you, don't recoil. Turn the knife. Lean into it. Taste the blood and see if you can withstand it. Because pain is not proof of weakness. It is proof you are still alive, still capable of transformation. Here is the hidden law. The deeper the pain, the greater the power it offers, if you endure it without running. But most men sell themselves cheap. They betray their destiny for comfort. They turn away when the knife first grazes their skin. That's why they die forgotten. Your scar is your crown. What you call weakness today will one day be the story that makes men listen. Nietzsche's migraines, his broken body, his isolation, they were the very scars that gave his words authority. Without them, he would have been just another academic. With them, he became a prophet. The question is, will your scars make you a prophet of your own life, or just a victim whining in the dark? Pain is not something you survive. Pain is something you use. Your scars are not proof of defeat. They are the crown of kings. So ask yourself now, are you willing to bleed for your future? Or will you let your fear of the knife chain you to mediocrity? Nietzsche dared to face the cut. He turned every wound into a blade in his arsenal. And if you want to follow him into greatness, you must do the same. Because here is the law of the battlefield. The one who endures the deepest pain without breaking rules. Every empire is built on blood. Every kingdom is founded on graves. And every soul that dares to rise must pay in the only currency the universe respects: pain. You think strength comes from talent, from intelligence, from opportunity? No, those are luxuries, decorations of fortune. But beneath them, the engine is forged in suffering. Look at Nietzsche. Migraines that split his skull open like an axe, eyes that could barely endure light, stomachs that twisted him into convulsions. He wrote with trembling hands, dripping sweat, writhing in agony. And yet, his words cut sharper than any philosopher alive. Why? Because every sentence was purchased, paid for. He bought wisdom with torment. He minted power out of wounds. The weak spend their pain on complaints, addictions, distractions. They waste it on numbness. But the strong, the ruthless, invest it. Every humiliation, every betrayal, every night where life feels like a coffin, that is capital. And if you spend it well, it accrues interest. Pain becomes armor. Pain becomes clarity. Pain becomes a weapon you can aim at the world. The lie of modern life is that pain is a mistake, that you should erase it, medicate it, outsource it to therapists and drugs and screens. But Nietzsche knew pain is not an accident. It is the price of admission. It is the toll you pay to become someone who cannot be broken. Here is your challenge. The next time life throws a dagger into your chest, done to pull it out. Don't cry. Don't beg. Grip the blade. Own the steel. Convert it. Ask yourself, how do I make this loss, this betrayal, this shame pay me back with interest? Because if you run from pain, it will hunt you forever. But if you spend it, if you turn it into muscle, into strategy, into silence that unnerves your enemies, then pain kneels before you, and you hold in your hands the only currency that buys greatness. So tell me, will you squander your suffering like the weak, or will you invest every ounce of it until it becomes power that no man, no failure, no God can take from you? Because the truth is this: your life will cost you. The only question is whether your suffering buys your freedom or your chains. Betrayal is the knife that doesn't strike from the front. It comes from behind, from those you fed, those you trusted, those you sheltered. And Nietzsche knew this is not weakness, this is not chaos, it is the law of life itself. For betrayal is the furnace where the raw metal of the self is tested, beaten, and forged into something unbreakable. You thought loyalty was the highest virtue. You thought standing by others guaranteed they would stand by you. But history is merciless. The ones who cut deepest are the ones who knew you best. The friend who became the enemy, the ally who turned opportunist, the love who chose comfort over truth. And when it happens, your chest burns, your soul screams, your faith in humanity collapses into ash. But here is the iron truth Nietzsche hurls into your face. This pain is not an ending, it is your rebirth. For in betrayal, you see the world naked, stripped of illusions. You see that loyalty is fragile, that promises are smoke, and that every soul carries the potential for treachery. And when you accept this, you stop begging for certainty from others. You become your own fortress. Think of Julius Caesar slain not by strangers, but by his closest men. Think of Christ betrayed not by the Romans, but by Judas, one of his own. Every great figure meets the kiss of betrayal, because betrayal is the crucible of greatness. It burns away the naive, the weak, the trusting child within you, and leaves behind the commander, the sovereign, the one who no longer kneels to sentiment, but rules through clarity. Nietzsche is screaming through time. Don't curse betrayal. Use it. For betrayal is the fire that either melts you or hardens you into steel. The wound becomes the weapon. The scar becomes the crown. So when the blade enters your back, don't waste your strength crying for justice. The world will never give it. Instead, grip that pain with your bare hands and shape it. Let the betrayal that once broke you now build you. Let it be the furnace that strips your weakness and forges the warrior Nietzsche demanded you become. Because only through betrayal do you learn the final commandment of power. Trust no one more than yourself. For power is not muscle. It is not the raw scream of force crashing against stone. Brute strength may win a battle, but it never rules an empire, because strength decays. Muscles tire, armies scatter, but a mask endures. Nietzsche knew it. The one who controls perception controls destiny. The battlefield is not only made of blood and iron, it is made of illusions, whispers, and shadows. Brute force forces obedience, but manipulation breeds loyalty, fear, and belief. And belief is stronger than chains. Think about it. A tyrant rules until his back breaks, until his soldiers turn on him, until his sword slips from his hand. But the one who wears the mask? He doesn't need to hold the sword at all. He lets others offer their blades. He lets others bleed in his name. The mask is not deception alone. It is strategy. It is the ability to show the world one face, calm, controlled, invincible, while inside you are calculating, ruthless, cold as iron. Brute force shouts, the mask whispers. And whispers last longer. Nietzsche wrote, "Everything profound loves a mask." Why? Because the mask protects power from envy, from rebellion, from exposure. The mask makes pain invisible. It turns scars into stories. It hides weakness and projects inevitability. Look through history. The strongest warriors were forgotten, but the masters of appearance, Caesar, Napoleon, even the princes Machiavelli wrote about, they etched their faces into eternity. Because they knew the crowd doesn't follow the strongest fist. They follow the illusion of inevitability. They follow the mask. And here is the brutal truth. Manipulation is mercy compared to brute strength. Force provokes resistance. Manipulation provokes surrender. When you strike with a hammer, men plot against you. When you strike with a mask, they don't even realize they've been hit. They thank you for the chains. They worship you for the prison. The battlefield of the future is not fought with swords. It is fought with symbols, appearances, and masks. The warrior breaks bones. The manipulator breaks wills. And Nietzsche knew which one lasts. So ask yourself, do you still rely on your fist, your shout, your temper? Or will you learn to forge the mask? Because in the war of existence, the mask always outlives the muscle. The warrior who walks off the battlefield is never the same man who entered. His body carries cuts, his mind carries ghosts, his soul carries the weight of choices that could never be undone. And yet, it is precisely these wounds that give him a strange authority. A scar is more than damaged flesh. It is proof. Proof that you endured what others could not. Proof that you have danced with chaos and survived. Nietzsche knew this. The scar is not a weakness to be hidden. It is the crown of the one who has walked through fire and returned. Think about the leaders you respect most, not the polished liars in suits, not the weak men begging for applause, but the ones whose presence commands silence. Why? Because they wear their scars in their voice, in their posture, in their gaze. A man who has suffered honestly terrifies the world, because he cannot be bought, cannot be shaken, cannot be flattered into submission. He has already paid his price in blood, and now he stands untouchable. This is the paradox Nietzsche drives into your heart. The scar you wish you could erase is the very mark that makes you unbreakable. You wanted comfort, you wanted ease, but comfort never crowns a man. Pain does. The wound you carry is the seal of legitimacy. Others hide theirs, patch them over with masks. But if you learn to wear yours openly, you do not just become respected, you become feared. A king is not crowned by gold. He is crowned by pain that has been transmuted into wisdom, into presence, into power. The scar becomes the throne you sit upon, and every enemy, Every betrayal, every night you thought you wouldn't survive, becomes a jewel set in that invisible crown. But here's the truth most will never dare face. Many people suffer, but few transform. Most collapse under their wounds, becoming bitter, hollow, broken. Nietzsche demands more of you. He demands that you forge your wound into a weapon, your pain into a philosophy, your scar into a badge of rule. Because the world does not trust the untouched. The world follows the one who has been burned, who has been scarred, and who still, despite it all, stands tall. The scar is no longer your shame. It is your authority. It is your proof of conquest. And when you finally realize this, when you wear it without apology, then and only then will you understand. The scar was always your crown. The battlefield is silent now. The blood has dried, the banners are torn, and the cries of the wounded have become echoes swallowed by the night. But look closer, every survivor carries something far heavier than the sword they swung, the scar. The scar is not weakness, it is the ledger of existence. It is the receipt for every victory, every betrayal, every silent night of suffering endured. Nietzsche knew this truth. Life does not grant crowns to the untouched. It brands them into flesh, into mind, into soul. And those marks, those wounds, become the very proof of one's right to command, to endure, to rise above the herd. Because the herd hides from pain. They plaster over scars, pretending they were never cut. But leaders, those who bend reality, those who create where the scar is a crown, they do not hide it. They declare it. They make their pain visible and turn it into an emblem of power. The final scar is the one no man can avoid. It is the moment you realize that to exist at all is to suffer, to be betrayed, to be broken, to be scarred. The only choice you are given is this. Will you make the scar your shame or your throne? Every chain you've worn, every knife you've felt, every mask you've been forced to put on, it has led you here. The furnace of life has beaten you, branded you, crushed you. But within the ashes, there is the iron of your will. And if you choose, if you dare, you can forge that iron into a weapon the world cannot break. This is the law of existence. No one escapes the price. Not kings, not conquerors, not you. You will pay in blood, in time, in betrayal, in the endless ache of becoming. But when the final scar carves itself into your being, let it not be a wound that drags you down. Let it be the crown that lifts you above all who remain shackled in fear. This is Nietzsche's final command. Turn your scars into power, or they will bury you in silence. Now the choice is yours. Will you carry the scar as a mark of defeat? Or will you wear it as the symbol of your dominion over life itself? The fire is already inside you. The scar is already yours. Crown yourself. Rise, rule. Subscribe to the Inner Citadel Project and comment below. What scar has made you stronger?